42. Matthew 11:10 is where we're going to start. And I have that as Jesus is going to enter the courtyard, to be truthful here. So, and I'm going to explain that. He didn't go into the house. Then he entered Jerusalem. Not all, and everyone was asking, "Who is he?" And the crowd was not saying, but telling them, he is Jesus from Nazareth, our King. I needed to add the word our King, because if you just said Jesus from Nazareth, it means that other men would have been known as Jesus at that time, which I don't think anybody else's name was Jesus at that time, or the Hebrew, well, they've got it in Greek, but anyways, I don't think anybody else was named Jesus at that time. And if he's just from Nazareth, they would have to know that he's more than just from Nazareth. He's working and healing people. So what I'm looking for here is he is Jesus from Nazareth, our King. So I don't think anybody else was named Jesus at this time. So, and then what I have down here as a question mark, whether it's from Zebulun. Now, to show you why I'm doing that and leaving that as a possible change in the text, is because Nazareth is supposed to be somewhere right in here, okay? But they would go by what tribe is he affiliated with, for them to know by just not saying a city, and people like, what's that city? So that's why I'm doing it that way, and I'm thinking it will be a Zebulun later. Here it says he entered the temple. I don't know how many times I got to go over this, how many times the word temple is there, but a temple is defined as in the Hebrew text, as a place where you put a false idol to call it, this is your God. You people out there that's saying the Temple Mount and using the word temple, you just piss me off. You don't even understand that it's the house for meeting with our Creator. If you understood and followed our Creator's definition for his tent for meeting with him and his house for meeting with him, you understand the importance that it's not a temple. It's a place where our Creator is going to meet with the priest, okay? The other thing is the size that we're talking about, because here it's saying that everyone was coming in like a marketplace, and he overturned the tables and chairs. The thing here is that can't be done inside the house for meeting of them, because you are not remembering when you speak about the size of his house that it is 20 cubits by 40 cubits, his house is. Now, the thing here is you have 20 by 60, excuse me. I believe it's 60 was. Anyways, I don't know, I can't remember the exact dimension right now, but the object is that, I should, because, yeah, I think it's going to be 60. Boy, I'm sorry I don't remember the exact size, but just go with me here. 20 cubic by 20 cubic is the meeting place. There is a doorway there that they have to enter, so they can't be inside that. So how much is the rest of the space there? Now you have to understand what's in that space there. All the utensils to fulfill what our Creator said would have been the knives to cut up and killed the animal that was to be sacrificed, and then parts of it to be, or the muscles to be offered up before him. So they have to have the plates there. There's 12 tribes, so there's 12 priests, or there's 11 tribes, excuse me. But wait, there's 12 tribes. Our Creator made Joseph's two sons 2 tribes. But the object here is that all of this is in there. Now, there's also trumpets that they were to blow. There's also other things that were probably saved, and that would have been the things they used to carry the items when they went into this from the Sinai into the Promised Land. These things would have been in there. So there's not much room when you say that if it is 60 and you take minus 20, you have 40 by 20. Now, how large is a cubic? A cubic is 1 foot 6 inches, 18 inches. And when you figure out this area, multiply those numbers out, and you're going to find out that there's not much room, and there is no windows there. These things are hanging on the side. So the only thing you have is the front door. And if for those of you that are really interested in figuring out the actual size of the area and stuff, and to put blocks around there to figure out how large the doors are, this number 20 cubics by 60 cubics is actually inside dimensions, and the blocks are set around it, just to let you know. And then you can actually figure out the block size. That he can't go in there. There's not enough room for what's being said. Now, the courtyard is huge, okay? It was supposed to be or was commanded by our Creator, 100 cubics by 100 cubics. So that is a large courtyard. Now you have to remember there's other things in the courtyard. There are altars there, and it's the large altar. There's the fire stands and things like that that are needed to help the priest offer up the offering. But it's the courtyard. When people are talking, you have to be truthful. Don't think for yourself and reason it out. But this is a huge error that everybody he kicked him out of the temple. There's no false idol there. And there is, even though I know there were some of the priests and king at that time allowed them in there. That was before they were sent off into captivity, but the object here is it's his courtyard, and he sent out everyone buying and selling, and he overturned their tables. Then he overturned his tables and their seats. Don't need this money changers and who were selling doves. That doesn't matter. It just means that he went around and tipped over all the tables, and, well, not every table, but pretty much most of the tables and seats that they were sitting in. And then he was yelling. He didn't say this. He would have been ticked, because only the priests are allowed inside the gates for the house for our Creator. So Jesus was yelling. He just wasn't saying. He was yelling as they were leaving. It was prophesied, not written, but it was prophesied. My house will be called a house for offerings, not for prayer. You don't understand. If you want to think it's prayer, what is a prayer? A prayer is when you talk to our Creator. When you're asking our Creator for something, that's a petition. But the whole house, or the tent and the house was set up, was to offer up offerings to be forgiven, to atone for your sin. Then you're still allowed to stay within the nation of Israel, such as going to heaven to stay in the kingdom and into Jesus's kingdom. But they will make it a robber's den. No, it's just said above it. It's a marketplace, not a robber's den, a marketplace. Not every merchant is a crook. Okay, so this is not the correct word, but marketplace. They were buying and selling things there. This should have been, this should be, I'm going to use this as an example to show people how corrupt the text is, and why words need to be edited in truthfully and get rid of this crap that they've got in here. Okay. Then our blind and lame came to him, and by his house he healed them, by his gate. And by his gate. He didn't want them in there because they aren't anointed to do what was commanded by our Creator. So he would have not been in the house or by the house. He would have been by his gate. And by his gate he healed them. Okay. Our tribe's priests, not chief priests, there were the tribe's priests. There was 12 of them plus the high priest, 13 of them. And scribes witnessed the miracles, not wonderful things. These were miracles. Or I could have used the word healings. He done. Then our children were shouting, not crying out. They were shouting, "We are saved by our son from David." Now, I'm using the word saved because it was used last time as up here. Here. We are saved by our highest. And that's referring to our highest male. We are saved by our son from David, which would mean that it is their highest. And now our tribe's priests and scribes, because that's who we know came, not just the word they, want to make sure, became resentful, not indignant, but resentful, because he just went in there and kicked everybody out. They kicked out what they wanted to do in his house. So then a priest, so somebody had to ask him what these children are saying. Like, do you hear what they're saying? Jesus says, yes. Just as you read out of the mouth of your children, not infants and nursing babes, but out of your children, I have prepared praise for not thyself, but for him. There's no praise for yourself. You aren't the promised one to come, and all prophecy is about Jesus. So it can't be thyself. It has to be for him. And Jesus would be referring to the text as it is written as him. And even though it could have been their king here, but the object is maybe I should put the word king in there. Maybe that'll happen later. But anyways, then he went out to Bethany to sleep. Now you can see I've got Bethany or Bethpage. I'm going to show you because I think that was in the last video that I did that, not this video. Here is Bethpage. It's farther away. So you'd have to pass one village to go to another village. So which one of them did he go to? And I know there is a story by Jesus telling us where he was at. So here it's Bethany, but I put down, can it be Bethpage? It's pretty much a note for myself to lodge, but to sleep. And then I could have kept the word large or lodged, but I wanted to let you know that this is where he's going to sleep, and then he's going to go out, because that's all he's doing is using it as a place to rest or sleep, and then go back into Jerusalem. And then here it is. And in the morning, Jesus returned to Jerusalem. Okay. Now it says to the city, he became hungry, like for breakfast. So let's take a look at that text. Whoops. This is where it's talking about a lone fig tree along the road, and he found nothing on it except for leaves. Well, the only thing is at that time, people are well aware what is the timing of their food to gather, and Jesus would know whether there's supposed to be figs on it or not. He's not stupid. And we know that Jesus would never say that there no longer will there be any fruit from you and once the tree withered. We know Jesus would not put out a dimming wick. So the object is this is counter of what Jesus is defined as, how you would understand he's a humble person. He would not do this. And then, so all this is not going to be true, because this fig tree reference is not really, not really truthful, because why would you take a fig tree and tell it to go into the sea and cast it in the sea? If you tried to figure out what this parable is, it still doesn't mean that you have the availability or the will to be able to cast somebody away from you to another area. All things you ask, prayer believing you will receive, by prayer believing you will receive them. This is a petition when you're asking, not a prayer. Jesus would know that. If I know that, Jesus, I'm telling you, Jesus knows that, okay? Then by his house, which would be somewhere along the wall, we don't know, not by the gate at this time, but by his house, meaning outside the courtyard fence. Should I put courtyard fence? Wall, because it was made out of limestone. Okay. Now we have that corrected. And by his courtyard wall are priests and elders. Now we have the elders coming in, came to him as he was teaching. They asked him, by whose authority are you teaching? Not doing these things, but teaching. They were the ones, when you've got priests coming there, that's what they're supposed to be, the head, most foremost knowledgeable people, knowing the laws. And so were the elders, for people would go to the elders to get, to figure out what's going on before they need to go talk to or seek help from a judge and then from a priest. These were the authority in Jerusalem for all Israelis. These elders, it seems like they needed a position in Jerusalem as well. So would be, I would believe there would be 12 elders. So By whose authority are you teaching? Not doing these things, but you're teaching, because that's what Jesus was doing. He was teaching. For we did not give you this authority. Okay. So obviously I've got it right here. So let me make sure I put this here, this here, this here. Scroll up next time. Oops, too far. There. Time, good. And yeah, I guess I didn't go over this one here. I will ask you one thing, not a thing. He's going to ask a question. If you answer me, I will answer you. What this is just saying, it's a repeat, so it's not needed. This is Jesus saying the baptism, not baptism, just one, but baptisms by John. And and the priest would have been aware that John was replacing them for forgiveness of sin. So your baptisms today are just stupid shit that you shouldn't be doing. That guy that's dunking you underwater doesn't understand that John was forgiving sin, and they can't do that. That's Jesus. They ain't nobody. They're false teachers. Stop that already. But the object here is the baptisms by John he's asking him, was it ordered from YV? Not from heaven, but from YV, or from men, because heaven is a place. You have to have our Creator's name here. And ordered, I could have used the word commanded, but it was ordered, I feel is a good word as well. And it should be all capital letters down here. Was it, let me see how the screen looks. Okay. And they reasoned among themselves, and this is their reasoning. If we say from YV, he will say, why did we not believe him? That's if they said, we are in fear of his crowd. And why do you not believe him? If we say from men, we are in fear of his crowd that was around him. For they all believe John is his prophet. I wonder what the text actually had here. Oh, forgot to read the number there real quick. 26. Oops, okay, sorry about this, but I gotta do this to get here. They hold John to be a prophet. Believe John is his prophet, because the true prophet has to be our Creator's prophet. Whoops. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so they answered, we do not know. Then Jesus said, I'll tell you by YV's authority, I teach them, not do these things. I teach them. And that was what Jesus was doing. He was explaining and teaching that it's his kingdom that they're waiting for in heaven. So now Jesus is going to give them a parable. and that is, what is your thinking? Now, what do you think? What is your thinking about this parable that Jesus is going to talk about? And here he's going to talk about the situation of them being responsible at that time to be priests and good scribes. And he answered, okay, that doesn't need to be there. Same thing, actually, same words. And he said, but he did not go out there. And then afterwards, he not regretted it. He felt guilty. Not that you regret it. This thinking about it, you get guilty. So the word is guilty, not regretted. And he went to work. Okay. That was a simple cleanup. They answered. They didn't say, they answered the second, not the latter, but the second. All this doesn't need to be said. It's just extra words. Taxman is replacing the word tax gatherers, and harlots will enter my kingdom, but you will not. Because it's saying my kingdom before you. That's not true. These words are not true, because they are against Jesus. They're against him, so they will not ever enter into his kingdom. That's why I have, but you will not. Then he's explaining John, just moving the word John from here to here. You came to John, and you did not believe him. So when the words were in the text, now we know that these priests even went down to figure out what was going on with this crazy guy down there along the Jordan River. So, and they went down there and they did not believe him what John was doing or telling them, but they understood that he would have told them that I'm replacing you ignorant dudes because you aren't following our Creator, and I'm here to baptize people to make them so their sins are forgiven, so they are clean before they approach Jesus, that they are part of his kingdom when they are forgiven. So it's very important that John was, what he was doing was forgiving sin for them to be able to enter into his kingdom. The taxman and harlots did believe him, and you watched me, not seeing me, you watched me and did not believe me afterwards. So they witnessed the healings that he was doing, and they didn't believe him. That's why they're still against him, and they're approaching him and asking him all these questions. Okay, I got the word went here. Yeah, I'm going to use the word went and change it up there. He's going to talk about another parable, so he wouldn't say another parable. Listen, the landowner planted a vineyard, and he built a wall around it. A vineyard is very large, so he would have put a fence around it, not a wall. He didn't dig a wine press, and he didn't build a tower. Okay, if he's relating this to the house in the courtyard, and then he rented it out to vine pruners, not growers, but vine pruners, because they keep pruning the vine, the more grapes are able to have the sunshine get to them and make them sweeter. So it's to promote a better growth of grapes if you're pruning a vine. And then he went on a journey. That doesn't need, and they're not slaves, they're servants, okay, to the vine growers. He sent his servants to receive his grapes, not produce, but grapes. That's what comes from a grapevine, or, yeah, from a grapevine. And they seized his servants and beat one and killed the other by stoning him. Here it says a third. I think that was just not needed when I'm put in here, but there was 2 servants, not 3. So we sent another group, not slaves, with servants, but they did the same to them, not same thing, but same to them. Don't need the words after. It's just, so he sent his son to them. And he said, they will respect my son. Now, should I change the word said to thought? That might happen in the next edit. When the vine pruners saw his son, they said, he is the inheritor, not the heir, but the inheritor of the vineyard. When you see that Jesus here is explaining in a proverb to them that they know that they're the ones that are referring to the courtyard as this wall and the vineyard is the house for our Creator, and the priests are going to get replaced at some time by the inheritor of who's going to do their work for them because they became too evil. I know that if you follow me, you've seen these before. So I want to pull up this to show you how long that they have known that Jesus was going to be a king over the nations on earth. Our Creator is speaking with Abraham, and he's telling him, kings shall come forth from you, and I will establish my promises, not covenant, but promises between me and them. And then in 18:8, we find, in him all nations of the earth will be blessed. So this is some of the first texts that I can find and point to that says this is talking about Jesus, okay? And it's all nations of the earth will be blessed. So they would have understood by these words, knowing that they were not going to be the ones to be forgiven people from around the world or around the earth. So this is what Jesus is saying by talking about the inheritor. So now you understand that text and why I edit it with the word inheritor. Seized and killed them. He's asked them, what will they do to the runners? And they answered, they will bring those killers to their end. Now, did they know that they didn't understand the meaning of what Jesus was saying, okay? And that's kind of, to me, funny, okay? Jesus is, what I was just trying to think of when people are talking to each other, a smarter person can say something that goes over the other person's head and they don't realize what's being said. There's a word for that. And this is what Jesus did, because they answered him and then they run out the vineyard to other pruners. But they didn't understand it's not other pruners, to the inheritor. And then they will pay him with the grapes of their season in their seasons. But Jesus says, did you ever read in not scriptures, they were scrolls at that time, the block which the builders rejected became the cornerstone, not chief stone, cornerstone. A cornerstone is how, when it's set, it's supposed to be so perfectly flat that they use this so everything is built evenly and rised up when you make a brick building. Okay. The cornerstone, this will not about, but happen by our Lord. It didn't came about, it happened. This will happen by YV, just replacing a title with his name, and will be marvelous before their eyes. So, not just marvelous, but marvelous before their eyes. My kingdom from YV will not be taken away by you, and be given nation producing the fruit of it. This is not true. Jesus would not be saying false, blatant lies. It'll be taken from you and be given to the nation producing the fruit of it. This again goes to the words that the 1611 preface translators, when you read, that's in the description, 1611 preface, you can watch that video. I speak about how they describe the reward for studying the Bible is just to have a fellowship of saints and to eat a fruit every month. So again, they're sticking this information into it, saying the next people like them are supposed to, their practice will be given the authority to do whatever. And Jesus is not going to say that. He's just going to say it will be taken away from you. But his kingdom is not going to be taken away. Then it says, this stone will be broken into pieces. That's not true. That is not true. That's, Jesus would not saying these type of things, and whomever it falls on will scatter them like dust. No. Just a false statement. We don't need Jesus lying again. Then our tribe's priests and elders understood he was speaking with them. They finally got it. They finally got what Jesus was speaking about. And they went to arrest him, not seize him, but arrest him. You have to understand, these are the highest authority ruling over the Israelis. We're going to learn about this when it comes up to talking with Pontius. But the object is that the priests have authority, and the judges and whoever else they wanted to set up among their people to judge by their laws, and then the Roman laws overruled were the highest laws. But this is what I'm saying. They just aren't going to seize them. They're trying to arrest them and throw them into prisons to shut them up. But they feared the crowd because they knew him to be not a prophet, their king. Okay? This is what they knew. He is the promised king from our Creator, the highest male from Israel's descendants. Okay, that's going to be it for this video. And